high ticket, low ticket, monthly recurring, pay in full, one time? What pricing do you choose and what pricing makes the most sense for you and the type of service that you're delivering? Stay tuned. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how to create equitable and ethical pricing for your online services, courses, or programs. Hi, my name is Soph. If this is the first time tuning into my channel, hello and welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. Be sure you hit the subscribe button over here and hit on the notifications so that you can get notified anytime we drop new content. This channel is dedicated to educating folks on SEO marketing, automations, and online business. That being said, let's go ahead and dive on in. In one of the previous episodes, we talked a lot about starting to develop the first piece of your signature coaching program. We went through the 3 core fundamentals when it came to the actual content you're delivering with the method and process, and then we dove into understanding what the actual deliverables were and the time frame required to deliver that result. If you haven't watched that video, you can go back and check it out here. It's really great, but there's also a PDF that goes along with this. In addition to this video, what we're going to talk about is the pricing. How do you actually create ethical and equitable pricing for your offer? To know that it's not only accessible and available for the people who want and need it, but also that it's something that's equitable for you to pay yourself a livable wage. So in tandem with this video, I'm going to invite you to click on the link down below where you can also access the blog that we've written to go with this that's going to go into detail about how I personally look at pricing and figure out the actual pricing that works. That's not just pulling a number out of the air and thinking that this is what you should be getting paid. So the first thing that we want to look at when we're thinking about pricing for whatever type of program, service, offer, or course is number one, what is the actual product itself? What is the thing that we're delivering? Because the one-to-one, very intimate container where there's a lot of support versus a DIY course that somebody just accesses on their own are very different levels of delivery and time investment from you as the person delivering the service. And we want to take this into consideration because we want to look at you as an actual employee of the business. Yes, you created this business. Yes, you're running the company. And your time also needs to be accounted for inside of the service delivery. So what I invite every client to do is to look at what their core program is, look at the time frame of that program, and then look at what are the actual deliverables on a month by month, week by week basis for the clients that you're working with. In this example, we'll go ahead and work with a one-to-one model just because it's a little easier. But in your one-to-one model, what we're looking at here is how often are you meeting with the client? How often are you actually creating notes, resources, emailing, connecting, answering questions, intake, onboarding, all of the little pieces that go into supporting and delivering that service for the client. We want to take all of that into account and calculate how much time are you spending a week on coaching calls, in coaching call prep time, wrapping up calls and sending notes for review, feedback on projects or pieces of things that they're working on, looking at Loom videos, recording Loom videos. What are all of the things that you're doing on a week-to-week basis? Now, you may have clients who are somewhat of the outliers and require a little bit more time, and you may have clients who are on the other side of that spectrum and require a lot less time. So what we're looking for here is the average. So when you figure out what the average amount of time is that you spend on each deliverable, each week or month, whatever the frequency is that makes sense for you and your personal product or offer, then we want to look at actually collecting the total estimated amount of time that you're spending over the course of that program. So if it's a 3-month program and you estimated for the month, how many hours total are you spending over the 3 months? If you're looking at a 6-month program, same process. Now, again, there's examples of this in the blog down below, so you can actually see the framework. If you're somebody who's more visual, you can look at that. It'll walk you through some more examples of how to do this with a little bit more detail inside of it. When you have your actual time estimates of what you're delivering, the next thing that we want to look at is what you want to be paying yourself on an hourly rate. Now, when we go into this, I want you to think about what's actually a livable salary for you, because things that we have to take into consideration are taxes, are the actual cost and operations, the softwares that we're paying for, the expenses of the business. And this is much easier when you have less programs and offers and services to calculate. So think about this as each offer being its own business. And what does it cost to run that on an ongoing basis? What software expenses do you have? Team, web development, marketing, all of these are things that we want to take into consideration because those are all part of running the company as a whole. Again, there's a resource for you on this so you don't have to feel so lost in the mud. But what I want you to think about here is how much time total do I spend delivering for the actual service once somebody's enrolled? And then on a regular ongoing basis, how much does it cost to run my business? For me to be in the company, do I have team that I'm paying? Am I doing this all on my own right now? What is that actual base operating cost? For some of you, that might be fairly low. For others of you, that might be a little higher. What we can work with here is saying maybe your base cost of living is around $2,500 a month. Obviously pretty low for somebody who's in San Diego like I am, but let's just go with it for now. If you need to be earning $2,500 a month to cover your basic needs and living costs, then we want to figure out, okay, well, how many hours can you equitably work a week or a month delivering a specific service, and how many clients based on the time that you have available can you take on based on the amount of time that it takes to deliver your service? This might sound like a mouthful and I apologize if it is, but let me go ahead and backtrack. I have 30 hours in a week that I'm dedicating to client delivery work. My clients say take 5 hours a week per client. If I have 30 hours and 5 hours for each client, I divide that, that's 6 clients total per month that I can take on and work with. And now let's say at a minimum, I want to be paying myself about $100 an hour or $45 an hour, whatever that is. What I can look at is say, okay, if I'm paying myself $45 an hour and it takes 5 hours per week to deliver a service, we're gonna actually round up because that's gonna be easier here. 5 hours a week per client of service, that's $500 a week. $500 a week over the course of, let's say we meet 3 weeks and we have 1 week off, that's $1,500 a month. And maybe it's a course of 3 months. Okay, great. Well, that's gonna be about $4,500 total for all of that time that I'm putting in there, which is gonna put me at that $100 an hour rate. This is what I personally like to look at when I'm thinking about ethical and equitable pricing, because a lot of the times we just pull numbers out and we think, well, this is what I'm gonna charge, but we're not actually looking at what we're delivering and the time that we're putting in and what we're actually paying ourselves on an hourly rate. Now, granted, this is before we take into consideration the operational cost, what it costs to keep the lights on in the company, whether you have an office space, you have a salesperson, a personal assistant, all of those are things that are being paid for by what you're doing here with this client. And so you have to also take into consideration that rate that you're paying, the client is paying you and that you're earning is not actually all profit. I might be charging $100 an hour, but I actually pay my team 20% of my total earnings, my revenue per month and per year goes toward team. So I'm actually only taking home 80, but even before that, I have to pay taxes. And then I also have to pay my expenses, my operational costs, software costs. So really at the end of the day, I'm looking at something that's closer to probably $60 an hour when I charge $100 for the service. And that's how we can start to get clear on how we're paying ourselves an equitable salary, but also to make sure that it makes sense for the client, that it makes sense for what they're doing. And again, it might not be that every client can afford your services, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to price people out or completely derail what you're doing and not charge an equitable rate for yourself to live off of, because that's also not something that's supported for you. We want to make sure that you're getting clear on what's the time available that you have so that you can be in a healthy financial space, and then you have both the mental, emotional, and physical capacity to then support in other ways. I am not of the belief that your business has to be your philanthropy. I am of the belief that your business gets to be the bridge to your philanthropy, which means you build an equitable business, and then on that you have revenue and profit that you can then use to put towards philanthropical causes, whether that's creating free content on YouTube, free blogs and resources, things that can support people who may not yet be in a financial position to afford your higher ticket offers. So hopefully this video has been informative. Obviously this was a lot of information jam-packed into a short period of time. If you have questions, please comment below and I'll be happy to answer them. As always, if you are enjoying this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. It makes such a difference for us. And also turn on your notifications so that you can get notified anytime that we drop new content. I cannot wait to see you in future videos, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!